Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back to Wall Street Silver. Our guest today is Bart Brands. Bart is a precious metals specialist at Gold Republic and a certified security intelligence professional. Welcome to Wall Street Silver, sir.
Ivan, thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, such a huge pleasure having you come down to Wall Street Silver. It's your first time. I wanted to get you on, first, before we even talk about gold and silver, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the precious metals industry?
Well, that's a very nice story. I'll keep it short and sweet. But about 15 years ago, at the beginning of the great financial crisis, I found out that gold and silver are the two only forms of real money. So nothing to do with currencies, and that's where my adventure started. It turned into huge passion. I wrote a book about it. It's right behind me, and
What's the book called?
it's called Chaos Without Gold.
Oh, that's a good
So
name.
yeah, Chaos Without Gold, and I go into the history of gold and why it works and why precious metals work as money and why they are the only two real forms of money, and that the rest is all currency, debt-based derivatives, and why we should return to gold standard actually. So and why we need to prepare for trouble if we keep on the path that we're on. So
Right.
that's. But it all started at the great financial crisis about 15 years ago, and now ever since I've just been really passionate about gold and silver.
Wow, that's fantastic. And I feel like a lot of people have they've come from out of that 2008 crash and they became gold bugs and gold stackers. So,
Yeah.
it's such a huge pleasure having you share that story with us. Now let's talk about gold. Gold in the past year has been doing some spectacular things. You can tell that the purchasing power of the US dollar is really declining. Give us your thoughts, Bart, on where you see gold going from now to the end of 2024. So in the next 2, 3 months.
Well, that's a very good question, and I always base my analysis on fundamentals. So I don't do chart readings, I don't do technical analysis. I only look at the fundamentals. So
Right.
I take into account a couple, I think, fundamental propositions or well, some fundamentals that can really dictate where we're going as a world actually. So it's not just the country of the Netherlands or the United States or Asia. It's so what I look at is I look at financial markets. So what's happening in financial markets? I look at central bank policy, and I look at worldwide geopolitical or macroeconomic situation. So
Right.
if we take that first one into account, financial markets, then well, we can see that it's not going too well. Based on data from the United States, for example, where
Monetary Metals is offering 12% on silver, paid in silver in a historic offering, the first silver bond in over 150 years.
There's about $15 trillion worth of precious metals in the world, all sitting there. It's just absolutely insane. Monetary Metals is bringing gold back into the financial world, putting gold to productive use right now. The problem with gold, of course, in physical form is that it's heavy, it's not easy to ship, and it costs money to store in a protected manner. This platform allows gold to be put to productive use, so instead of sitting there costing you money, it's actually in use earning you money.
Learn how you can earn 2 to 5% in our leasing program and how accredited investors can earn up to 12% on silver, paid in silver. This advertisement is not investment or financial advice. Minimum investment applies.
almost 1 million jobs were cut on on the jobs for the past year. So that's I think really a real bad indicator. Then we look at for example a country that's right next to my country, Germany, the biggest the biggest economy in the European Union. It's
Right.
not going too well either. A lot of job losses, a lot of the industry is shrinking. You see it in auto markets, for example. So it's not going too well in the in Europe either. And then we go to Asia, for example, we go to China,
Right.
and we can see that China is actually, well, you could say it's imploding on an economic level. and even in such a way that now the Chinese government is saying we need to stimulate our way back into economic prosperity. And we all, of course, everybody who watches Wall Street Silver knows that that doesn't work.
Right.
If we take a look at central bank policies, well, even though both in the United States and in Europe and actually everywhere in the world, inflation is still high.
Yeah.
Central banks are starting to cut rates again, and so you just know that it doesn't work. It will not work. Cutting rates when inflation is high is a recipe for disaster. And then if we take some geopolitical well, if we take into account geopolitics, then we see a very big war on the European continent, and of course the Middle Eastern unrest, which is really starting to escalate. So
Yeah.
these fundamentals, I think, are a reason. I think they are part of the reason that precious metals have been doing so good this past year, and I don't see any of them improving. So I
Yeah.
think that could mean that precious metals will keep performing really good this year.
Yeah, no, it's you absolutely nailed it, Bart. Like what you said there is spot on. And I think people are I think what you said about China was really interesting too. It's almost like their economy is imploding. And have you seen the news about central banks in China buying and China itself buying records amount of gold? Have you seen that news?
Yes, of course,
Yeah.
and I think the Chinese really, well, you could say people that have been indoctrinated by their governments for the past 3 generations are really starting to feel the squeeze because they all believed the hype. And
Yeah.
for example, when it comes to real estate, and now in the biggest tier one cities, you can buy real estate with a discount of 60-70%.
Wow.
So I think that really means that, and that's where I think gold and silver prove themselves as well, right? Even if you compare them to real estate, which is across the world some of the safest investments, or classified as some of the safest investments,
Right.
and that is where now in China, the real estate market really imploded. So
Yeah.
60-70% discounts on tofu drag buildings. They are really bad quality, but still, it drove the people towards gold, that eternal, and the king of money. I always say it's the king of money and the money of kings. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it drove them towards gold, and now people are frantically trying to buy as much as they can.
Yeah, that's so true because in China for the longest time and even around the world, people put money into real estate. Boom, you lose 60% of your investment in real estate in China. You're not going to real estate anymore. You're going to be on gold, right? So I think that's a great point that you brought up there. Now, it is your first time on Wall Street Silver. Are you a silver and gold stacker? What type of silver and gold do you like? Bars,
Well,
coins?
it all started for me. It all started with silver coins. So the
Nice.
first, that's actually when I fell in love with silver before I fell in love with gold, actually. So
Wow.
because I didn't have any money, so I could only buy some maple leaves and
The
and some
the
eagles.
poor
So
man's gold.
yeah, I started with the poor man's gold, and it's just the proposition of silver, where you can use it in all types of electronics. It's used in everything that power runs through, and so that's where it started for me in with silver coins. And I actually, because I'm not sure if you have a lot of guests from the Netherlands, but we in the Netherlands we used to pay with silver. So I have this.
Really?
We used to have a currency called the guilder, and so I
Ah.
have this 10 guilder piece, and this is silver.
How much,
So we
what's the
used to.
percentage?
This is 72% silver.
That's good.
So this is a fair amount, and now this has more purchasing power than almost any of our euro
Yeah.
coins, especially the coins. So no coin has the purchasing power of a silver guilder, but
Yeah.
even most of the paper currency we have, these coins are worth more.
Yeah, especially in the next 10, 20 years when they're going to go digital and more money printing and
Exactly.
yeah, that coin will that 72% silver will be worth more than anything.
Yeah, yeah, it's and that's why I always try to tell people, if you have silver, try to use it as well. Try to form a community,
Yeah, barter.
a community, yeah, and try to barter with some of the local business people in your local area. Just try to get to know them and see if you can barter with them in real money instead
Yeah.
of currency.
Absolutely. Well, Bart, it's such a huge, huge pleasure having you come down to Wall Street Silver. This is your first time. Hopefully, it won't be your last. I'd love to have you back on in the next week or two. But yeah, and where can people connect with you? Yeah, that's right.
Well, they can follow me on Twitter, and they can follow me on Instagram. I do smoke a lot of cigars, so they'll see a lot of cigars in my feed
That's
on
good.
both. But we also we have our own YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel. It's the Gold Republic YouTube channel. So if you speak Dutch, but we're starting with English content, English
That's
spoken
good.
as well.
Yeah.
So if you speak Dutch, of course, follow me on the YouTube channel, and soon we'll be
Pod
producing a lot of English spoken content as
That's
well.
that's very exciting. I'm super excited to see that. And I'll put all the links in the description below so people can connect with you guys.
All right,
Again, Bart, such a huge pleasure. Thank you everyone for watching.
Ivan, thank you very much.
Take care.